New to theaters is a movie called Iron Lung, and it's really a novel concept. So you got this YouTube guy I never heard of before, but he's big online. His name is Markiplier. And what he did is he put up $3 million of his own money to literally, do a one-man show. He's directing in it, he's acting in it, he's editing it, he wrote it. It's all his. So the bad news is that it takes place in one single room. What's the good news? This movie might have set the record for the amount of fake blood used in any movie I've ever seen. So apparently this movie is based on a video game that I've never heard of or played. So I might be a little bit out of my depth with figuring out what was going on in the story, because the story is a little confusing to me. There's this voiceover in the beginning that tells you that all the stars have gone black. The universe has gone dark. And for whatever reason, this has driven humanity to the brink. And the main character, in fact, one of the only character really in this movie is Simon. And you can put together that he's a criminal and that they put him in this submarine tank thing as part of if you do this job, you get out, we'll let you go. And this submarine tank has to dive to the bottom of the ocean, but the ocean isn't water, it's blood. So he's going to the bottom of this blood ocean, and I wasn't exactly sure what he was supposed to find. So he goes down in the submarine tank thing, and his one window outside is this camera where he can hit a button, and this camera flashes up for a couple seconds. And it's supposed to be an X-ray radiation camera to see things, and he sees all these skeletons. But because it's an X-ray camera, I'm wondering, are we just seeing the skeleton of what really is there? Is there is this a monster and it's alive? And the whole time, his only communication with the outside world is this CB squawk box thing he talks into. And, there's these voices from control, command, wherever, I don't know where. But they're the ones telling him okay, you have to go here. Okay, you have to go there. And honestly, it's a pretty huge deal for somebody unknown to produce their own movie on their own and then get it into cinemas across the country. Supposedly got into 2,000 cinemas and made it all the way to Wallingford, Connecticut. So, he really got this thing done. But it's a horror movie. It's way over 2 hours long. You know my rule, horror needs to be short. They easily could have taken 30 minutes or more out of this movie, and I don't think it would have affected the story at all. It just when you're locked in one room for the whole movie, there's only so many times you can, creatively show how somebody twists a dial or to show a new angle for when a light beeps. You're really limiting yourself. But man, just like every good horror movie, it's always the last 30 minutes that matter. That's where the shit really starts to happen, starts to go down. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a movie. It's got one guy in it. What could possibly happen? Okay, so when the blood ocean starts to leak into the submarine, because it eventually gets in there, apparently the blood has a mind of its own. It starts clotting up into these weird things on the wall, and you can't touch it because your hand gets stuck. And at one point he tries to remove his arm from this blood clot that's on the wall, and it comes out. This is more a movie I saw out of the curiosity for how did this happen. I don't think it's not a great movie, but if this comes streaming anywhere, it's worth watching. If you love horror movies, sure, watch it for that last half hour. When the blood gets in, it gets fucking crazy. The story is confusing. It's nonsensical. I didn't really understand what was going on, but the story of how it got made is kind of why you should see it. So who knew in 2025, there would be 2 movies released called Play Dirty. I watched them both. In one corner, you've got Tubies with Theo Rossi and Ron Perlman. It's a real low-budget, low-level gangster kind of movie. And on the other hand, you've got the big-budget version of Play Dirty. It's got Mark Wahlberg, and it's directed by Shane Black, so it's got a big director. You should know Shane Black. He was the writer of Lethal Weapon, and he's also the writer of one of the most underrated movies of all time, The Monster Squad. So Tubi's Play Dirty is very straight-to-video-esque. You remember back in the 90s when you go to the video store and you'd see a tape with either like Dolph Lundgren on the box or Casper Van Dien on the box. It's very much in that realm. Like everything in the movie is shot with these close-ups because, you know, you don't want people to know you're secretly filming in a barn, right? So the Tubi one is the story of a hitman who wants out. The catch is, in order for him to get his payout so that he can go on the run, is that he has to do one last job for Ron Perlman, who's the mob boss of this situation, the crime boss. And his task is he has to go do a whole bunch of collections and bump people off, kill them outright, all in one night. And the hook is that he's telling this whole story from the backseat of a stranger's car. He's gut shot and he's smoking crack in order to take away the pain. The gunfights in this movie aren't anything spectacular. Ron Perlman's the best thing about this movie. This movie has one of my least favorite tropes of all time in it. And that's where you have a character who's a stripper and she's not going to get naked ever throughout the whole movie. I hate that. Okay, so we switch over to Shane Black's Play Dirty, the big budget one. Those gunfights and that action, that's what you're looking for. That one starts off with a robbery gone wrong, and it starts with a bang. And then that robbery leads into a car chase, which crashes onto a horse racetrack. So you're getting jockeys and horses getting run over. And then when you make it to their hideout, the girl is stripping down to her see-through bra and panties. Shane Black, you know the way right to my heart. It's kind of like this movie mixes John Wick with a dash of Fast and the Furious and a little bit of Ocean's 11. It's a real mishmash. And the big heist in the movie, the big thing they're all going after, turns out to be about sunken treasure. This sunken treasure is gold and artifacts from the ship. So there are 3 factions going after it. You got Mark Wahlberg and his crew. You've got this dictator of the country where the sunken treasure is. He's trying to get in on it too. And then this third group is a crime syndicate. And the crime syndicate is run by Tony Shalhoub. And Tony Shalhoub is really good in this, though he needs to hire a better goon squad. The action in this movie is like cranked up to 11. It's great. You've got a giant train wreck. You've got multiple people being thrown off the roof. It's one guy twice, I think. There are gunfights out the wazoo. There's bank vaults being blown up. I don't know how this movie didn't come to theaters. So the win in this case goes to Mark Wahlberg and Shane Black. It's just a better movie. But it's neat that in the end, the movie maybe really isn't about the sunken treasure. It could be about something totally else. What matters? It's entertaining. It's chock full of action. It should have been in the movie theaters. I should have saw this in the movie theaters. So go on Amazon and watch Play Dirty. Skip the Tubi one. Some people are born to fail, and some people have it thrust upon them. It's probably the most meaningful line in the story of Hard Times, Charles Bronson. So it's the 1930s. The Depression is in full swing. How are you going to make some extra money? How are you going to make a living? Well, for Charles Bronson in Hard Times, he does these pickup street fights. And he's managed by James Coburn. His name is Speed in this movie. He's fast talking, got a big smile. But his manager, Speed, he's a degenerate gambler if I've ever seen one. He can't keep money. He can't keep $1 for a minute. He owes money all over town. He owes it to all the wrong people. Charles Bronson, he's just fighting for rent money. The weird thing about this movie, though, is the actual fights that are in this movie, they're bare-knuckle fights. And they go on and on for a long time. Like, I've seen UFC matches. These guys will fight like a 3-minute match, and their face looks like a fucking meatball afterwards. They just look lumped up. And in this movie, these guys are throwing haymakers at each other, and they just look like, the next day there's no scars on them. So obviously, wherever there's money and underground fights involved, gangsters get involved. So you've got that whole angle. You got a little bit of Skid Row romance in this movie. You got kidnapping, so you got everything going on in this movie. And also, there's a third character who's not pictured on here. There's this guy who looks like he's straight out of a Tennessee Williams play. He's got the white seersucker suit on and everything. He's really amusing in here. One of my favorite parts for that character, and in fact, one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, is just this throwaway thing where he has to go upstairs to go get these gangsters. He has to go knock on their door. And he goes, I'll go get them. And he just picks up a hammer and throws it through the window to get their attention. It turns out this was Walter Hill's first movie. And while you might not know Walter Hill's name, you'll definitely know his movies. He did The Warriors. He was responsible for all of HBO's Deadwood. So if you love that, you probably like this. It's a real throwback of a movie. Yeah, it was made in the early 70s, but the movie itself takes place in the 30s. I don't think we get enough of that, really. It's a really interesting time you don't see a lot of. And in this one, it's not like it's boring and it's about some farmer. It's about a guy fighting with his hands and living on, on the edge. It's on Tubi for free if you want to watch it. I think it's worth checking out.